we're not home yet. We're in Atlanta, and nobody on the plane has eaten since what? 24 hours, guys?
More.
24 hours. So we had 9 medical emergencies on the plane that were serious. We had, what, 10, 15 minor blood sugar problems on the plane.
Dropping like flies.
Had to meet with the captain twice in flight to try and decide if we were going to land in Azores or if we were going to land in Bermuda. And I was the one having to make the decision, and we decided that if we landed in either of those places, that they would let us, maybe they might let us land, but if they did, what would happen, guys? No hospital. We'd be turned away. We would be turned away. So we ended up with medical emergencies. Yeah, with medical emergencies on board. I'm doing it. They can see me, not you. So we ended up with medical emergencies on board throughout most of the flight, and then we had to call 911 on the flight because our crew, none of the people in the plane had eaten for at least 24 hours, and they decided to give them cookies when they got on the plane, which meant that after 12 hours of no food, people decided to have a little bit of cookies, and about 20 minutes later, we had multiple unconscious people all over the plane trying to manage all of these medical emergencies that were happening almost all at once, one right after the other.
That was true. I thought they were just dropping.
It was, you guys can tell them.
I was on the floor.
Dropping, yeah, she was actually one of my patients. And he was one of my patients. Yeah. Actually, wait a minute, all you guys are my patients. So we had a little bit of a rough flight, to say the least. And then we had to get into a fight with the crew because I demanded that CDC was not going to board our plane until our people had food. So we did not let them board the plane until the captain decided that whatever food they had on board, they better start passing it out. And we didn't have enough food to feed everybody, so we went with the people that had blood sugar issues and tried to get them some food. So, so this was actually almost as much of a debacle as the cruise was it not? It was probably scarier than the cruise because we had so many medical emergencies on board. We had to put a man in respiratory distress on CPAP. We had to put a man in respiratory distress that had a high fever in quarantine away from the rest of the passengers. Another passenger that had a temperature away from the rest of the passengers. I had to quarantine them in a different part of the airplane while taking temperatures, which was like 103.1 for both of them. And what else did we have on board, guys? Oh yeah, we had an asthma attack where we were getting absolutely no movement of air whatsoever in this lady's lungs. What else was there? Oh, this was my table mate on the cruise.
No food.
Oh, no food. That's why everybody is at, what is this, guys?
TGI Fridays.
We're at TGI Fridays. We're actually supposed to be over there getting our tickets and finding out our information, but nobody's there because nobody's eaten in 24 hours, and most of them passed out on me with blood sugar issues. So basically we had some issues, and the only thing we had on board was orange juice and crackers. And so you guys tell me, how long do you think that their blood sugar is going to be up for me after having orange juice and crackers? How long? Maybe 20 minutes. So I had one guy, was that you? Was that you that kept passing? No. Yeah, so you passed out once. So I had one guy that every 20 minutes he was tanking on me. So he was a persistent hypoglycemic patient who I couldn't keep his blood sugar up because we didn't have anything on board that had protein in it. So we had to make an announcement, which, by the way, they just decided to give me the microphone. So instead of the stewardesses on board, I just took over the plane. so basically, so basically, I had to make an announcement for everybody to gather anything with protein in their bags, pass it up to the front, and we had a stockpile for all those people that were passing out to try and get peanuts or cashews or whatever people had hidden in their backpacks. This was the most debacle of a thing. Then when I had to call 911 at the end, because I was refusing to let CDC get on board until these people had protein in their stomachs. So first I get the 911 operator. She transfers me to the Atlanta Airport Security Office. So they're like, okay, we understand, ma'am, we understand. So then they decide that they're going to back us out of the airport because of our temperature people. So we back out of the airport, we get taken to a hangar. CDC comes and processes every single person medically. But the ambulances that we ordered for the 3 that we thought needed to go to the hospital never happened because they had a nurse there that was taking people's health physicals or whatever and then deciding whether or not they were going to the hospital. So me and a gynecologist who was a Russian gynecologist who knew not very much English, I was getting her to give the meds since she had a medical license. So I would tell her what meds that needed to be done, and she would pick the dosage, and then she would give the meds so that she was the one responsible for giving the meds. And then we had, oh my gosh, you guys just would not even believe. You wouldn't even, a movie could not even, a movie could not, you couldn't even, a movie wouldn't even do it justice, like not even a little bit justice. So the people were passing out so fast, like literally I would get one person propped up and start to give orange juice, and 2 seconds later another one was on the floor. And they kept saying, there's another one. And I basically said, that's enough. I need 2 rows of seats for every single one of my patients so they're in one part of the airplane so that I could keep an eye on all of them because they were scattered in the back of the plane. You got to remember, this is a 787. This is a humongous plane, biggest plane I ever saw. So I had patients in the very back of the plane. I had patients in the very front of the plane. I had 2 that we had to quarantine. Like, there should have been medical personnel on that flight. There is absolutely no way that you put 300 sick people on a plane with no medical at all. At all. Right?
Yeah, no food, no nothing.
Like, that was like, no, you don't do that. You don't do that. So tomorrow morning I am calling and I am going to press criminal charges against them for reckless endangerment as well as patient abandonment from the doctors on the Costa Luminosa. So absolutely criminal charges. Absolutely. There's absolutely no way that was not criminal. No way. Like, none whatsoever. So, not to mention all the other things that were going on, but you don't put people that have not eaten and expect them to be on that flight for 24 hours that are sick already, that are already like vulnerable, that I had patients with COPD, I had patients with asthma, I had patients that had basically no lungs at all, tons of smokers that had the cough that everybody's got. No, you don't do that. Don't do that. You don't do that. So anyway, we are ordering food because I have not had a bite to eat in 24 hours, and I am actually getting lightheaded, and I don't think they know what to do to fix me if I should pass out. So I'm going to go eat, but I had to like say that, and when I get to Dulles, if I get to Dulles because we haven't got our things, I am falling on the floor, and I will be bawling my eyes out because that was the worst experience. And you know, this whole Costa thing was so scary, and every decision he was making seemed so dangerous to me. And then this flight came along, and really? So anyway, that's my 2 cents for today, and I'm going to go eat.